Hawkeye trades in his costume and his identity. Here's your look at the new Beast Kingdom Avengers Endgame. This is Egg Attack Action Ronin. The product code for Egg Attack Action Ronin is EAA-081. He features up to 28 points of articulation, movable eyes, katana, and sword sheath. If you suspected the first thing we were going to do with the Beast Kingdom release of the Egg Attack Action Ronin was to figure out how tall he was, you suspected correctly. Virtual star for you. According to the readout, if I'm reading this correctly, you're looking at the figure standing 7 inches exactly. Translating that to centimeters, more than happy to oblige, 17.8 centimeters tall. Seeing as we just had a look at her, we can bring in the Beast Kingdom Egg Attack Action Avengers Endgame Black Widow. Still trying to figure out how that title is going to work. She is a little bit shorter, not sporting the same costume and body mold as Ronin to the right. She's a little bit shorter. I don't know if actually Scarlett Johansson or ScarJo, as she would like to be called by many of her closest of friends, so I'll call her ScarJo. I don't know if she's actually a little bit shorter than Jeremy Renner in the film. I'd have to go back and double check on that. But she is most definitely a little bit shorter than him when it comes to the Egg Attack Action releases. Feast your eyes on the included display stand that comes included with Ronin. Astute viewers will probably notice right off the bat that it is in fact the same display stand that came included with also Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. Virtual star also for you. On the top, you can see it does say Avengers Endgame on the clear plastic stand with a slight change of lettering on the front. Gone is Black Widow. Inserted in its place is Ronin. Other than that, the neck itself is the exact same, featuring and sporting Beast Kingdom along the length of the neck, and it still has the adjustable waist clip. It's about the only section that does actually move on the stand itself. I've mentioned this and sound like I'm playing a broken record here, but I like the consistency when it comes to all of these pieces. When you do come time to picking up these for yourself, it's a nice treat to be able to display these all on your shelf. Maybe not making this gesture every single time you put a new one down, but it's nice to be able to put them on a shelf and each one of them all say Endgame. You sort of kind of feel like they're a little bit more tighter knit, like a close family. Also to come included with this particular piece is an instruction guide. Read this carefully, though not super carefully. It's not multiple pages. It's actually a one-sheeter with English and alternating languages on the other side. It does tell you kind of sort of the straightforward, summarize, if you will, of things you can do. The whole purpose of reviews, hopefully as extensive as this, it does give you an opportunity to kind of get the more nitty-gritty when it comes to actually how the figure works, and we're about to proceed with going ahead and doing that. You can look at the instruction guide, like I said, but there really isn't a whole lot that there is to read on it. That's why you have reviews like this that can hopefully get a little bit more in-depth in some of the stuff you should be expecting to see when you pick up this piece for yourself. How about, for example, some of the accessories? Did you know that Egg Attack Action release of Ronin comes included with a really neat looking Shuriken? You do now. The Shuriken itself is sculpted in such a way that one side gets sculpted and the other ones sort of get vacantly left behind. Although when you flip it around, the reverses is happening here. One sides, or two sides of them, are actually sculpted quite nicely, with the other side slightly omitted. Still, they paint everything quite rather nicely. Little etchings and scratchings of a dry brushing of silver sort of give it that real look of a metal Shuriken. To come included as well with that, he does come with a specific hand. I'll just grab the hand right here for you, where you can actually display the Shuriken in his hand. I did notice, though, that the Shuriken doesn't sit the tightest in his hand. It sits sort of a little loosey-goosey. I don't know why specifically the hand isn't a little bit broader. Like, this hand was designed and came for the Shuriken, and other than just putting it into the top, I can't think of any other place where it's supposed to go. I mean, again, it looks like it's supposed to be for the sword, but it was bagged specifically on the side that came included with the Shuriken. I'm like looking at all the other hands. I mean, there's this hand here that sits it a little looser. I suppose you could put it around his thumb, but there's really no other hand that seems designed specifically for the Shuriken. This is the one, again, that was bagged inside. When you do get this out of the packaging, it's in a separate little baggie, putting the two together, that you would think that these would be the friends forever, but again, it doesn't seem like the Shuriken sits very well or tightly in his hand. No matter how I try it, no matter how I slice it, I can't seem to actually get the two to fit together. The other thing he comes included with is he comes with the sword sheath. The sheath is actually on a Velcro, so you just attach it like so. It doesn't make probably much sense just to looping it like that. Just want to show you the quick close-up looks at some of the sculpting that Beast Kingdom was managed to put into the actual sheath itself. It does have sort of a futuristic look to it. That futuristic look continues its way when you look at the actual sword itself. This broad-bladed sword is all done in silver with the handle done in a very futuristic molded black plastic. I really like the design of that sword. I don't know if there's actually a company out there that... I know there is companies out there that make Hollywood-themed swords that you can pick up like Blade, and I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that we would have seen in the past, but I certainly would love to see a company source out the necessary means to produce a 1-to-1 scale version of this sword. That would be really neat to display, certainly on my mantle. Now, the thing about it is you can just take the sword, slide it into the sheath like that. When you do slide it in place, you're still going to be getting a little bit of that exposed silver. It's not jarring. Well, it is jarring, I suppose, just to look at it, but it doesn't really go any bit further. It goes to about there, and then you still get a little bit of that silver. It's natural, and it's supposed to be looking like that. But if you want to display the sheath over top of Ronin, simply just put it around to the back. It's a bit of a tight fit, I have to admit, but you just loop, if you will. Loop's a good word. We're going to loop that around to the front of his torso, and very tightly we're going to do up the other end of the Velcro. And you can see that is how he displays and holds the holster on his torso. It's a nice look. And if anything, if you're not going to be displaying the figure with the sword in his hand, certainly as an alternative, you can most definitely display the sword in the holster or in the sheath. You can also take the sword and put it into his hand. Another alternative as well. He doesn't really have a whole lot of accessories by comparison to, say, for example, the Black Widow that we already had a look at. He really only comes with the sword, and then he comes with the Shuriken. Everything else is basically just hands, just a whole bunch of hands. How many hands in total? Well, he does come with 2 currently in the socket, and then on top of that, he comes with an additional 5 hands. We'll have a look at those right now. I didn't mean to startle you when I did that, by the way. So if we look at the hands, he comes with a pair of closed fists. I know right now it looks like he only has 1 hand, so how could that possibly be a pair? Well, the other hand is right there. I just swapped the other one out. The other one is a mirror copy to this hand, and it would go on this side if you want to display the sword on the opposing side of his body. He also comes with a pair of relaxed hands. Let's have a look at those right now. Each one of the hands, by the way, really does have some nice additional metallic gold that they've incorporated sort of on the little flap section, the tops of his hands. And then he, of course, has the previously mentioned and still previously confused with alternate hand for holding the Shuriken. Again, it just doesn't seem to fit in place. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Anyways, those are all the accessories that come included with the figure. Let's take the sword out of his hand, and we'll have a look at Ronin. A nice little nod to the comics to include Ronin in Avengers Endgame. It seemed more of a logical step for the character's arc, if you will, by having Hawkeye become Ronin in the film. And with that and a change of name, he also gets himself a change of attire. This particular attire sort of is more of a stealthy assassin look than anything else, and it really does work quite well both in the film and as an egg attack action figure. He does have a real cloth hood. I mean, really, for that matter, he has a cloth outfit completely from head to toe, with some nice little faux leather that they've put on the sides of the arms and the sides of the legs. A nice combination of gold and black. Other than that, he really doesn't have any color to speak of other than the previously mentioned gold and black. But we'll go ahead and just pull his hood down. One of the trade-offs, unfortunately, on this particular piece, that the head faceplate seems to fall off frequently. Needless to say, we're going to go ahead and take the hood off. Just attaches or detaches like so. And it is actually a wire frame. So if you want to have the hood down, you can certainly pull off that look as well. I prefer myself, I know it looks a little jarring, he has no face currently. I prefer actually the hood up. This gave me sort of an opportunity, not intentionally of course, to showcase the face portrait. We'll just spin that around. The face portrait, very much a masked assassin. He does have the posable eyes. We can flip that around to the back, and he's got these 2 little joysticks located on either side, the left and the right, or if you flip it around, the left and the right. But if you just take the joysticks, you can just move those back and forth. Actually, let me just show you how it works on this side, and then we'll flip it around. You just move those joysticks back and forth like that. They don't really go up and down, more only side to side. And as you are doing that on the back side, on the front side, what you're going to be seeing is a motion and movement of eyes. I really like that. The thing about it, though, is you got to be careful when you do put it back into his face or into the back of his head, that you don't accidentally clip the joystick. The result of that will be an awkward-looking cross-eye effect. We'll be very careful this time around, and we'll just line it up. See, there's a little slot right here, and there's this little platform, sort of looks like a diving board at a school public little kind of little poolside area. But there's a little platform there. It just lines itself up and fits it into place. The thing about it, though, is it doesn't feel like it's the most secure fits. Well, you already saw it. A little bit of banging, though it's not probably going to happen right now. This faceplate seems to come off very frequently. I suppose once you get it to the desired look that you want, you're probably not going to be lifting back the hood anytime soon. You probably won't have any issues. Although I think when you are rotating the head and moving it for articulation, you probably will find the faceplate, at least the one I find on this one, to be a little on the loose side. We're going to go ahead and put the hood back on to his head. I like that you get a good lengthy hood, something of which that can completely cover over his face if you wanted to as well, because he does have the wire frame. You can sort of just bend it on either side. You get a nice low look. That's a really cool design and way to display the figure. Let's look at this guy's articulation. For that, I'm just going to move the hood back slightly. His head rotates back and forth. It hinges up and down. Essentially what he's got is a double ball joint. So in the sense that he's got a ball joint at the top that goes into the socket section of his head, and then he's got a ball joint that goes down here as well. He's got an upper torso ball joint that you can move the torso back and forth. He has full articulation in the sense that he does actually have what seems more afforded articulation in his shoulders than what Black Widow actually possessed. In this case, you can actually get a full 90-degree angle going on there. Arms move forward and back. He has a swivel on the bicep, double bend on the elbow, and no matter what hand you go with, it looks a little awkward that he's just got that straight arm. The hands rotate all the way around. They're actually on ball joints. I found them a little bit difficult when it came to swapping out the hands because all the ball joints so far are generally quite small. If you see that against the backdrop, let me just pop the hand off so you guys can see. There we go. The ball joint is a little difficult. You have to do a whole lot of finagling to get that into the socket section. I actually just cheated, and you can actually just do this as well. Take a screwdriver, one that's just a little bit bigger than the ball joint of what you needed to adjust. Twist it just slightly into the hole area, just to widen it enough that it fits very comfortably then onto the ball joint. I did it actually on this hand here. As for the rest of the articulation, his legs go out. Not quite a full splits, but you can see forward and back on the legs is a swivel on the top cut of the thigh, a double hinge on the knee, and then he's got a good amount of articulation, posability in the foot. This is actually on a ball joint, as you can see. Just pop back into place, but it gives you an ankle pivot back and forth, up and down, and you can rotate the feet all the way around with a good sufficient amount of articulation on the toes as well, if you want to get a more dynamic pose. Personally speaking, I am a big fan of the Egg Attack action figures. You probably already know that by now for the number that we've already had a look at on this channel. I'm really big into the super deformed figures. Really large heads, really small bodies. I really did like the Black Widow. I think I still like Black Widow just a little bit more, but Ronin is no slouch though. He's got a good color scheme going with the black and that nice trimming of metallic gold. And I like also that they gave him a sufficient amount of hooding. Hooding in the sense that if you wanted to, you can certainly most definitely bring that hood a little bit down and hide off a bit of more of the Ronin's eyes there, and I really like that. If I could hand out an award, and honestly speaking, I've never handed an award my entire life. The idea of actually pinning an award to somebody's lapel or putting a big shiny medal over top of their head, never done that. One of these days, not to win an award, no way, but to actually hand out an award. It's weird to set strange goals like that, but if I was to hand out virtual awards right now, I must say that the Egg Attack action rendition of Black Widow would get the gold, and sort of by default of that, Ronin gets the silver. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the figure. I mean, he's well executed and presented from the folks over at Beast Kingdom, but honestly speaking, I'm not big on the design. I wasn't big on the design in the film, though yes, it was nice to get a fan nod to the comics. Ronin, for me, I'm glad wasn't in the entire film. Give me OG Hawkeye any day of the week, with his mohawk or faux hawk or whatever he had going on there. It was a neat look for the character. Ronin, not so much. But I do like the look of this Ronin here, at least as an Egg Attack action figure. He meets all the positive criteria that Egg Attack action figures would have, superposable figures underneath real fabric outfits. Of course, he does also have the benefit of the swappable, movable eyes, I should say, but the faceplate does fall off a little too frequently. One thing I should give as awarded points to Beast Kingdom is the fact that they also gave him hood slack. What? What? Hood slack, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. It's basically the excess amount, the additional amount of fabric on a hood, the slack, if you will, so that you can actually move the hood a little bit further down on his face. Personally speaking, when it comes to hooded figures, I like the idea of being able to bring the hood a little bit further down so you don't see completely all of their eyes. It defeats the purpose if you're going to give a character a hood and then you see all of their face. What's all that about? No, they do give you enough hood slack that you can bring the hood a little bit further down, and being that it also has a wire frame to it, you can adjust it accordingly so you get that really neat looking sort of mysterious Ronin. And that's probably the look I'm going to go with. I like the fact that he does have accessories. He doesn't have a lot, mind you. And unfortunately, the Shuriken, I just couldn't for the life of me get it to actually fit into his hand. I must be doing something wrong. It's either fitting in one hand way too loose, or it doesn't fit in the other hand at all. At least he does have a sword, which he does wield quite well. He does also have the sword sheath, which is located on the back of his torso, that you can completely leave off if you all wanted to. This is a really nice rendition of Ronin. Not my personal favorite look for Hawkeye, but for a transition of a movie character to a figure in a super stylized way, Beast Kingdom has knocked another one out of the park. This one should be now circulating in stores, so if you did manage to pick up this one for yourself, let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of the Avengers Endgame Egg Attack Action Ronin. It's pretty cool, even though I'm all about OG Hawkeye. OG Hawkeye. If you guys also want to go back and have a look at some of my other Beast Kingdom reviews, there's a playlist just for Beast Kingdom. And hey now, if you are new to this channel and maybe never got around to it just yet, why don't you hit that subscribe button down below? It's not too late into the new year to still live up to those New Year's resolutions. And I can't imagine that anyone's New Year's resolution was to make sure that they're subscribed to this channel, but if by off chance that was something you were considering, let this just be a friendly reminder that if you want to make sure that you're keeping your peepers peeled for all the future content that's coming onto this channel, the best way to resolve all that issue is to make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that bell notification, and periodically check on over at the home page. It's your best 100% guarantee to make sure that if there's anything that's popping up in future video content on this channel, you won't be missing it out because you'll be checking the home page on a regular basis. Checking the home page on a regular basis might be probably the best advice for you moving forward, because there's going to be a whole lot of reviews coming your way. We're going to be having a look at some other upcoming Endgame and other Egg Attack action figures from the folks over at Beast Kingdom. Again, I also want to send out a big thank you to the folks over at Beast Kingdom also for taking the time and sending this my way. But we're going to be having a whole bunch of Egg Attack action figure reviews lined up, coming up very, very, very soon. Very, very soon. So keep your peepers peeled for that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.